Welcome to this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. On today's program, we're going to spend a little time outside. You might wonder why you're doing that on a cold February day. Well, we're doing it to help you prepare for the spring. Specifically, in your lawn and your garden, what preparations you can be taking now to pay big dividends later. Stay tuned. Welcome back to On the Scene. We're coming to you from the community garden here at East Suffolk Recreation Center on a very cold February day, but we're out here for a reason, and this gentleman right here is going to take us through that reason and give you a lot of great gardening tips as you start preparing to plan things for the spring and possibly even into the summer. Marcus Williams, an extension agent with the Virginia Cooperative Extension Office here in Suffolk, is with us. Marcus, thanks for joining us again.
Not a problem.
Well, look, again, we're out here, it's cold, but the reason for being out here is the fact that really now is the time, or I know we're kind of on that border where you really need to start planning ahead for what you want to do come spring and summer in your garden or perhaps with your lawn as well. And of course, the Cooperative Extension Office here in Suffolk does great things to help people here in the city. Let's talk a little bit about your office and maybe some of the services that y'all provide. People just have general questions or whatever. What kind of goes on through the Cooperative Extension Office?
Through the Cooperative Extension, we do everything from food safety all the way to weed and pest identification. We help people with soil testing. We help people with hay testing. We have people with fecal analysis. We help people with getting their SERSA certification.
Right.
Just about the whole gambit.
Good deal, good deal. I get a great resource here in the city of Suffolk, and I want to thank you and your coworkers for being there for us. Now, one of the things you just mentioned is actually we're going to start out talking about soil testing. What is the reason to test your soil? And I know you'll take us through kind of maybe how to do it and how you work through your office to get that done.
Yes.
But what's the purpose of it? What does it tell us?
A soil sample tells you what's in your soil. It's kind of like you're a baker or a carpenter. You want to start off with all your materials,
Right.
and at the end you want to come out with a masterpiece. We tell you your macro, your micronutrients. We tell you your CEC number, which is your cation exchange capacity number. And also we just tell you your organic material and your soluble salts.
How many times a year should you do it, or is it sort of a one-time deal? Because obviously I'm assuming things change over time, correct?
It depends on what are you doing.
Right.
If you're just doing a lawn, and if you're just doing warm season grasses, you want to test before you start. So
Okay.
what do I need to do to amend it?
Right.
If you're doing cool season, you do that for that. If you're doing vegetable gardens, you want to do after each season. If you're going to do spring vegetables, you do it then. If you're going to do summer, you do it then. And if you're going to do fall, you do it then.
Okay. But again, it gives you the idea of what you're working with to know what you
Yes.
need to either add or kind of maybe take away or deal with when you're trying to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve, correct?
That is correct.
All right, now when we talk about a soil test, how easy is it to do one, and what do you need to consider when you're doing it? I know you have the little kit here, and you got your tool here, but take us
Yes.
through kind of what we do when we're doing a soil test.
First, you want to consider where you're going to do a soil test at. You want to consider the area you want to do, and also you want to use your tools. Your tools are very important.
Right.
Right here, I have a soil probe.
Okay.
And here, it's very easy to use. It's going to be your quickest and easiest way to do a soil test. The only thing is, if you don't have a large area, this isn't going to be worth the money.
Right.
This will range you about anywhere from $50 to $100.
Okay.
But it's a very quick and effective tool. Or you can use a trowel, or
Right.
you can use a spade. The big difference is if you're going to do a garden, you're going to go 6 to 8 inches down in the soil. If you're going to do an established lawn, you're going to want to go from 2 to 4 inches. And if you're going to do trees or shrubs, you want to do 6 inches.
Got it.
And the best thing about this, you plant it in the ground, you step on it, it
Right.
goes in, and at the end result is it gives you one of these.
Okay.
It gives you a very uniform soil sample versus using a trowel or anything like that. You'll just get some dirt,
Right.
or you might even have some grass in there. You definitely don't want any grass in there.
Got it.
The biggest thing this is, as you see, this is stainless steel.
Right.
You want to use something that's stainless steel. You want to stay away from something that is brass or copper or galvanized steel, because what it's going to do is it's going to leave deposits in your soil sample.
Right.
And some of the things we check for is micronutrients, and it's going to leave copper and zinc, which is a
Sure.
micronutrient.
So you want as pure of a sample as you can get.
That is
And like
correct.
you're saying, depending upon what you're doing, it tells you how far down you got to go.
Yes.
So with if you're using the trowel, obviously you'll just kind of dig down, kind of remove the topsoil part, get down to where you need to get to, and that's what's going to go in the box, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
Now, can they get a box from your office?
Yes, you can get a box from
Okay.
my office, and what this box looks like is this right here.
Right.
You open it up, and you're going to fold the different size in it, and you're going to fill that with soil. Now, the reason I have this bucket right here
Right.
is you're going to take about depending on the area, I would like somebody to take as many as they can get in that area
Sure.
to give them the composite, but you're going to get as many samples as you can. You dump it in the bucket, you mix it around so you can get a composite.
Got it. Got it.
Instead of just having a soil sample from 1 or 2 places.
Yeah, because you want really kind of a complete snapshot, not just one isolated area.
Correct.
And again, one of the important things, make sure you're doing this in the area you're going to be working in.
Correct.
Because maybe parts of your yard or the area, your territory you're covering may vary depending upon circumstances. Right?
Correct.
Now, so once it's in the box,
Yep.
what do they do with it then?
Okay, once it's in the box, what you have to do is you have to fill out this sheet right here.
Okay.
This is going to be your basic form that you have to fill out. It's going to have your name, your information, all that stuff.
Right.
Also, the most important is it's going to ask you when the last time you fertilized and limed. So we'll know, okay, this is when they've limed and this is the recommendation we can give them.
Got it.
Also, this right here is also important. It tells us what you actually want to do, whether you're planting a specific grass, whether you're doing a specific vegetable, whether you're doing a specific tree. It's going to give you all the information. You give us all the information.
Right.
And also, you're going to have to, for a basic soil sample, it's $10.
Okay.
Now, if you want the soluble salts or you want the organic material,
Yes.
it's going to be an extra $2 or $4. I would tell people you don't really need the organic material because our area, we're 1% or less.
Okay. So really kind of not worth your money to get that part of it done, right?
That's correct.
Now, how long does it take for this to come back and give you the readings and the information you want to get out of the soil test?
It takes about anywhere from 2 weeks. I'll get it back a lot quicker than
Yeah.
you will. But if you want to come to the office, you can get it from me,
Okay.
or you can wait for Virginia Tech. They can either email it to you, they can fax
Perfect.
it to you, or they can mail it to you.
Okay.
Now, once you get those readings, you can look over them with yourself,
Right.
or you can come to me and we can go over them together and I can give you some recommendations.
Perfect. Great resource right here. Okay, so we talked about doing your soil test and about, again, you want to know what you're trying to achieve, what area you're working in. So we got that laid out. Well, let's get down to maybe some of the nitty-gritty stuff. Land preparation, preparing your lawn for spring and maybe into the summer as well. Tell me a little bit about what are some of the things we should be thinking about now. Again, we're mid-February. It's still cold. We got some more cold weather on the way. But again, we're all looking forward to that beautiful spring. We got hopefully green grass going and stuff like that. Tell us, what do we need to think about with land preparation?
First, let me ask you this.
Yes.
What type of grass do you think we're standing on right now? A cool season or a warm season grass?
I'm going to say warm season.
And that would be correct. The reason you would say warm season is because, of course, when it's warm season, it goes dormant.
Right.
It goes dormant for about 4 months.
Okay.
And that's the trade-off.
Right.
So when it becomes spring, you're going to have green grass. The biggest thing you have to remember is what type of grass you want.
Got it.
Do you have a lot of trees around your area? So you wouldn't want something like a Bermuda grass.
Right.
You would want something like a St. Augustine, or you want something like a centipede. Now, are you going to want people, there's going to be a lot of traffic around your area. If there's going to be a lot of traffic, you want to stay away from centipede.
Okay.
Centipede cannot take any traffic at all. So if
Okay.
you have children, that's not the grass you want.
Got it.
But centipede is also good because very slow growing, and it also is a very low mowing grass. Now, if you want your grass to grow very fast, so you say, okay, well, I want to look good for a certain area, you want to get Bermuda grass.
Okay.
Bermuda grass is actually the #1 weed in the world and also the #1 grass in the world.
Okay.
Because it's so aggressive. You've seen people who have flower beds and they have weeds coming into the flower beds.
Right.
That's actually the Bermuda grass stolons coming right in there. So
Got
it's
it.
very aggressive. If you have a lot of trees around, shade, St. Augustine. But the drawback from St. Augustine is 2 things. #1, it's extremely hard to get a hold of.
Right.
And it's extremely expensive because it only comes in plugs or sprigs. There are no seeds.
Okay.
The next thing you have to remember is that it's not very tolerant to herbicides. When you see a herbicide, if something goes wrong, you need a herbicide, you have to get specific herbicides for it, which are very much more expensive. Also, you have to remember is in Virginia, we're in the transition zone.
Right.
If you notice, the people above us are doing cool season grasses, and they're very well at it.
Right.
The people below us are doing warm season grasses, and they're very good at it.
Correct.
So with us being in that that transition zone, every state that's kind of smack dab in the middle is in that transition zone. Also, you have to know, basically, before you even go out there, just take a either take a picture of your house and draw a picture of your house and say, okay, I want this to go here, this to go here, this to go here. So you know, okay, this area gets a certain amount of shade, this area gets full sun, so you can kind of play stuff around. It's kind of like a chess game. You're going to play stuff here, here, and here,
Right.
so you get the best bang for your buck.
Gotcha. And again, if they have questions, perhaps about, can they contact your office?
Of course.
They bring that picture in there and discuss with you guys about, look, this is what I've got. This is what I'm, again, trying to achieve. But, you have trees or this, or you noted I have kids that like to go out there and play a whole lot or whatever. And again, really, I guess it's kind of coming up with a game plan.
Correct.
Before you go out there and hit the field, so to speak, but with everything you're kind of working with. So when should planting start? And I guess it depends on what type of grass we're talking about.
That's correct.
But let's say if we're talking about something that it would be a warm season, would we be doing anything in our lawns now?
Yes, and I have a sheet directly for everybody for warm season grasses. For warm season grass, we have this sheet right here. What you should be doing right about now is your post-emergence. Your post-emergence herbicide is going to get rid of weeds that are actively growing right now. It's going to be granulars. You toss them out there, and they're going to get rid of them.
Okay.
You're not going to actually start planting grass until after our killing frost happens.
Got it.
And
what's the time of year that generally comes
the
up?
killing frost? See, that's a good question. A lot of people don't know that we've actually changed our seasons have changed a little bit. We used to be in the tidewater growing region.
Right.
Now we're in the Piedmont growing region.
Okay.
And with that, our growing days have changed, I say about 15 days. The Tidewater region starts right where Suffolk ends, right where Chesapeake and Portsmouth starts.
Sure.
So from say Suffolk to Virginia Beach, their growing days are going to have 20 more warmer days than we will.
Okay.
Versus we're in that Piedmont region, we're way different from the rest of the cities in there, like Halifax or Danville.
Right.
They're going to have 50 to 60 different days than us. So that's the biggest thing, is just knowing your growing area and knowing how much time you have.
Okay. And speaking of time, we're going to take a short time out, come back with more with Marcus, talking about, again, some other preparation things you need to be considering at this time of year. We'll have more on the scene when we return. Welcome back to On the Scene, joined again by Marcus Williams with the Virginia Cooperative Extension Office here in Suffolk. We talked about grass. Now we're going to transition and talk about garden preparation. Again, mid-February, still cold outside. What do we need to be doing right now? And I know your thing's going to be, depends on what you're going to grow, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The funny thing is, garden, what people don't realize, is year round.
Right.
So a lot of people have already started. It's a lot of things that are going in the ground right now.
Okay.
Right now, asparagus is going in the ground, and some of your beans are going in the ground. It really just depends on what you want to grow.
Right.
Most people really don't get started until after that killing frost,
Right.
which happens after April 20th.
Correct.
It's right now you're preparing.
Right.
You're still making, okay, I want this flower, I want this plant, I want this. Saying what you want, getting your seeds.
Got it.
Also right about now, you should be doing your starts. If you want to save yourself some money, start growing some of your stuff from seed. Some of the stuff is a lot easier to grow. Some of the stuff takes a little bit more time. Right now, I'm doing tomatoes inside, and you have to know your days of maturity.
Right.
You got to think this. Okay, if this plant takes 150 days to grow, okay, if I start it inside, so you have to count 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
You have to count your weeks,
Right.
and then, until you're going to put it in the ground.
Got it.
The next thing you have to know is your ground temperatures. If you're going to be putting things in the ground now, they're going to take about 40. It's going to take, the ground temperature has to be at least 40 degrees.
Okay.
Versus say a tomato or a watermelon or something like that, they need at least 60 degrees.
Okay.
Now those are just practical temperatures. Optimally,
Sure.
they're going to want anywhere from 70 to 90.
Okay.
But practically, you can put them in there right now.
Okay. All right. So we talk now. When you're doing this, a lot of the word we use quite a bit throughout this conversation we've had so far, preparation. And I just want to downshift for just a second. Now seems to be the time that you want to be kind of checking out your resources. That'd be your tools and things like that, making sure you got certain things sharpened or cleaned up and things like that. So really, it's good time that you can work inside on some of this stuff, possibly go outside if you need to, but just some basic things you could think about people need to be thinking, cutting some things back, or maybe kind of, if there've been leaves blowing around all winter long that are cluttered up your garden area, maybe pushed up against your house or your flower beds or whatever, maybe kind of cleaning some of that stuff out. Would that be a good time to kind of start working on that?
That definitely would be. You want to start checking your weeds. If you had a good seed bed last year, you're going to make sure you get all those weeds, all those debris out, because that is where some of your insects hide.
Right.
That is where some of your disease hides. You should have done, most people have done this already,
Sure.
but if you haven't,
Right.
this is a good time to do it.
Good deal.
Also, you want to do, I've hit on this again, soil test, soil
Right.
test, soil
Right.
test.
Right.
If you're going to plant something, you have to know the pH, because a tomato is going to be different from a bean.
Right.
A pepper is going to be different from, say, a squash. Peppers are going to like it more acidic, while a squash is going to want it more neutral. So you got to know your area.
Got it.
Also, you got to do rotations. Rotations help with everything. Next thing is parity. When you're planting, know what vegetables go with what vegetables. What vegetables are going to enhance what vegetables, and what
Right.
vegetables just don't do well together.
Got it.
And it's just a little bit of research and planning.
Yeah. Okay. Now, one other thing to note about it, you talk about getting prepared and everything. You mentioned something. You might have some insects or some disease hiding through some of this stuff. But when you have, it's cold, and during winter, insects as well get dormant or they kind of hibernate. What are some things maybe checking in that area to make sure you don't do all this preparation, get everything ready, and then you have this this insect that's hiding, so to speak, or hibernation now that pops up? Now you got a problem. As far as when you're trying to plant things like that, any advice you could offer for that, or maybe things to look for?
I would look for holes.
Yeah.
I would look for places that you had a problem with last year,
Right.
and go back and say, okay, well, I need to see, maybe I'm going to use an organic insecticide. I myself, and out here, we don't use very many insecticides, and what we do use is 100% organic.
Got it. And one other thing we talked about as well, mulching. I know it might depend upon, again, what you're trying to do with that. Is now a time to maybe start preparing some of that, or is it a little too early to start mulching? Again, it may depend upon the application, but just your feedback on that.
It all depends on what you're going to get. Now, I'm going to tell people this, and I hope nobody doesn't go out there and get them all.
Right.
I am starting to look out for blueberries.
Okay.
Blueberries, again, they need a certain amount of chill hours. And with that, they have to go outside immediately. So if you're going to put them outside, they're going to need a little bit of mulch.
Right.
They keep them somewhat warm. And you can get those from Johnson's, you can get them from Home Depot, you can get them from Lowe's. So some of the plants are going to go out there now.
Right.
Some of them are going to need row covers, some of them are going to need mulch, just so they can get a little warm. Now, of course, last year we had this problem. I wouldn't have put tomatoes out
Right.
at August 20th.
Uh-huh.
A little bit after that, we had a really cold snap.
Right.
And that cold snap killed all my tomatoes. So sometimes the early bird does get the worm, but sometimes being too quick can cost you.
Right. And again, we can only control what we can control, and the weather and Mother Nature is something we just have to kind of grin and bear it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, we talked a little bit about land preparation, garden preparation. What about flower preparation? What are
Okay.
some things you can be doing, again, right now to kind of get everything ready? And again, I guess it starts with the game plan about what you want to try to do.
The game plan knows what you want to try to do. Do you want an annual? Do you want to biannual? Or do you want a perennial? Do you want something, if you want something that you have to plant every year, you're going to go for an annual.
Right.
If you want something that you're going to have to plant every 2 years, you're going to go biannual.
Right.
If you want something you're going to only have to come back to it's going to go for many years and then it's going to die off,
Right.
you're going to go perennial.
Okay.
The only thing is that are you going to have that commitment to let it stay there for that amount of time?
Right.
You're going to also want to know, what do you want? Do you want a shade-tolerant plant? Do you want something that's going to need full sun? And with that, it's just going to be planting. You're not going to want to put something like that underneath a roof or near a tree, because it's going to cause problems for the plant. You're going to wonder why it's not growing, and that's because it's just placement.
Got it. Again, some very simple advice, but again, advice that could really pay off big dividends, again, with when you come to hopefully getting out of your yard or your garden or whatever that you want to get out of there. Anything else? I know we have just a few minutes left in the program, just some generic kind of advice as far as, again, maybe touching again on what your office can provide, where y'all are located, what hours, good phone number, maybe some information like that.
First, I'm going to tell people, people are getting these garden magazines right now, and they have the best looking plants in the world.
Of course.
And the best thing to learn is everything that glitters is not gold. Your friend that's in Virginia Beach or Texas or Pennsylvania say, hey, this worked for me. You got to remember that what works in that state will probably not work in our state, or it might not work in our state, or it might work in our state. It's all trial and error. So don't get discouraged if something doesn't work right off top.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, kind of be like a forensic scientist, like on CSI. Find out, okay, I did this, this, and this, and it didn't work. So what can I do to change it? And sometimes if you bring it to us, we can tell you if you have a disease you don't know quite what it is, you bring it to us, we send it to our plant diagnostics, and we'll get right back to you. We also have a Facebook page where if you post something to the Facebook page, we can tell you exactly what's going on. We have one for our homeowners, and of course we have one for our large-scale producers also.
Of course.
We're located at 440 Market Street in the downtown Suffolk area. It's the old Human Resource Building.
Correct. Okay, good deal. Is there a good contact number to reach your office?
Yes, sir. It's either 757-514-4332 is my direct line, and also 757-514-4330 is going to reach our UAA, which is Miss Susan Smith.
Okay, now I'm going to get you in there, and she can kind of portion you off to whoever you need to speak with on that.
That is correct.
Well, good deal. Well, Marcus, thanks for spending time with us today. Great advice. Again, good get you thinking out there. And again, I guess coming up with the game plan, working that game plan, and if you need extra help or resources, contact the folks at the Cooperative Extension Office. They're there to help. And again, don't forget about the soil samples. We want to get
Soil
those
test,
going.
Yes, we want to get those going right now.
Okay, again, a little box can again help you out in big ways. Well, that will do it for this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you again next time.